Hello, so today I'll be showing you how I make my mushroom pendants. The very first thing you will need are some eye pins, and we're actually going to bend these to have a little bit of an angle in them. That's actually going to help support the weight of the clay when you're wearing it as a pendant. We'll also be using some oven baked clay or Sculpey. You'll need to roll it into a bit of a ball, and then we'll have to poke the eye pin into it. You'll need to place it onto the paper and make it into a bit of a dome shape. Make sure that the area around the eye pin is actually very tight. You don't want that to come loose. Smooth it out as you go, and then we will start sculpting in the gills. Thankfully, in this project, I will be painting the end product. However, my hands are not entirely clean, and you'll notice that there are some dust particles coming up on the surface there, so be mindful of that if you aren't intending to paint. The tool I'm using here I actually got from a set on eBay for like $10. You could also alternatively use a pin. Here I am just shaping the edge of my mushroom cap. I just like how unique and organic it looks. So grabbing a little bit more clay, we're just going to roll it out. This is actually going to be for the white spots on top of the mushroom. So I actually use sewing pins when it comes to putting the spots onto the cap. So just lightly cut them and place them very lightly onto the cap. You don't want to leave too many lines. Paint can only cover so much, so keep that in mind and be very gentle. So once you're all done, just lightly press the spots and make sure that that eye pin hasn't moved too much. So in order to sculpt the stalk, I actually get a sewing pin and I put some clay at the very bottom, not unlike how we did the mushroom cap over the angled pin. So I'll just roll out some more clay until it's kind of a stalk size that I'm happy with, and I'll impale it on the pin. This kind of makes it a bit easier when it comes to adding texture, which I do by getting another sewing pin and kind of just continuously stabbing the top until it leaves a bit of an indentation. You can do this lightly at first and then kind of add a little bit more as you go. It's kind of by eye, this part. I like to add some little lines onto the rest of the stalk as well. This kind of adds a little bit more texture and gives that little bit extra detail that we are looking for. I did actually switch to my other tool with the thicker end. This is just to make it a little bit more rough looking, so whatever works for you. So we'll just be rolling out another little bit more of the clay. This is actually going to be for the fringe, so this can be as neat or as rough as you like. I just roll out a tiny little bit and then kind of scrape my tool along it until it kind of gives that same sort of effect. I'll then just drape it over top of the stalk and kind of blend it in with my thumb. So then we're actually going to be baking the stalk and the cap. It depends on what kind of clay that you're using, on how long and what temperature, so just keep an eye out for the instructions there. So for the painting, I'm actually using the Citadel paints for miniatures, just because we have them on hand. Preferably you'd want to use a gouache or something, but if you're coating it, it doesn't really matter. The stalk I undercoated in a cream color and then went in at the ends with like a light green, a dark green, and then a brown. It's very messy. You can use your fingers a little bit if you want to make it look a little bit more rough. It's just kind of just to give the effect that it's been pulled out of the ground. I lost a lot of footage when it came to painting the cap, unfortunately. Basically just give it a coat of red. If you wanted to add a little bit more definition, you could add some darker red to the edges. So now we're going to glue the cap to the stalk. I actually cut my stalk down because it was a little bit too pointy for it to sit flush. There's a few different ways you can do this. I found the E6000 works the best for me, so just a little dab on the cap and then holding it there until it's cured a touch. Once that's 100% cured, we're actually going to go in and paint the white spots on the cap. Just take your time, cover any imperfections with the white spot, and make sure they're definitely dry before we go on to the next step. So I'll be using Mod Podge and Blend Turf. You could also use PVA glue or preserved moss, whatever works for you. So just mix them together in a small container or tea light like I have, just enough to get like a cakey consistency. I don't know why I thought I would use a paintbrush for this. I've never used a paintbrush for this in the past. I've always dunked it. This paintbrush will never look the same, so just dunk it. It'll look great, I promise. Look at that, incredible. Dunk power. I don't actually know how many people have UV resin and a UV light in their house, but I do, so I thought I'd add some little water droplets. I thought it'd add a little bit of dimension. Don't feel like you need to, the end result's not going to look too different. And that's about it. I'd probably add a spray glosser coat over the top just to secure all of the paint. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and please show me if you make any of them because I would love to see. Bye!